Ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury, members of the Roll the Tape film crew, robbery or no? Was this fight between Arthur Beterbiev and Bivol a robbery? Was Bivol robbed in this fight? Did the judges choose Beterbiev to win to intentionally rob Bivol out of the opportunity of becoming the new unified light heavyweight champion of the world? Before I give my analysis, my perspective, and my observation, first let me encourage you, please, if you haven't done so, subscribe to the channel, join the channel. Thank you for the super thanks that you can click on the screen if you have done so. Thank you for your monetary support of the channel. I appreciate it. And your feedback. Leave a comment or two or three in the comment section below and be a part of the Roll the Tape film crew family. Now, enough with the hugs, handshakes, and Valentine's Day cards. Let's get to this fight. Beterbiev versus Bivol. Now, if you were here, live and living color, or the replay of the live that I conducted and published and broadcasted on Friday, when I talked about who would win this fight and how this fight should play out, and my breakdown of what both fighters needed to do in an attempt to win this fight. Now, originally, as you all know, I chose Bivol to win this fight because of his boxing ability, his mental determination, his footwork, his ring IQ, his boxing skill and technique. He's very tactical in what he does. When he moves in and out, just a lot of the fundamentals that he performs with that allows him to control the distance and basically outbox his opponent, including when he gave Canelo Alvarez his second loss of his career. I was expecting that Bivol to show up in this fight against Beterbiev. I also said that Bivol should not exchange punches with the more heavy-handed puncher, Beterbiev. I also said that Bivol should attack Beterbiev's body. He should take him into deep waters. Y'all remember that? I just said that a few days ago. He should take him into deep waters. Why? Because Beterbiev only had one fight in his entire career where he managed to go the full distance of 12 rounds. And so maybe allowing him to punch himself out, overexert himself with his pressure and his attack. And unfortunately for Bivol, that did not happen. However, I always thought that it would be a 50-50 fight because Beterbiev has power. He's very relentless. And he stay on the attack until he get his opponent out of there. So here's the thing. This fight was an interesting fight for the entire duration. It was a seesaw battle at some points. At other points, you had Bivol taking control of an entire round. Then you had Beterbiev taking control of another round, a single round. Very interesting fight. Let's deal with the judges in this fight, and then I'm going to break down what actually took place and what I observed in this fight. As you already know, when we talk about judges, I can't speak for no one else's channel. I cannot speak for anyone else and what their perspective is when it comes to judging. Many of you already know this. Some of you may not, but I have experience in learning and training and the experience in the amateur boxing program known as USA Boxing here in America as an official, level 2 official, let's be clear on that, as a judge and referee. All of the professional judges from America in the history of boxing, all of the professional boxing referees in America, whether you see them on a streaming platform, television, or a local show, all of us, and I'm saying us, meaning officials, have to go through the USA Boxing program and training and certifications as a prerequisite of being a professional judge or a professional referee. Just wanted to be clear on that if you didn't know that. Now, with that being said, we had 3 experienced judges in this fight because we're talking about whether or not this fight was a robbery, right? Glenn Feldman, USA, of course, judge. He started his career in 1992. Manuel Oliver Palamo. He started his career in 1997. And Paolo Cardini, he started and began his career in 2001. So we have a wealth of experience in judging that took place and that was facilitated in this highly anticipated world championship bout. Now, some people might not recognize the name when they first hear it of the judges. But then as time progresses and you watch more boxing and you hear the ring announcers mention the judges' names to acknowledge them, as time progresses, you'll be able to familiarize yourself with the names of the judges. So Glenn Feldman, the judge who began his career in 1992 from America, he scored this bout 115 to 113 for Beterbiev. Now, you might recall that Glenn Feldman has scored the Anthony Joshua Usyk fight. Y'all remember that? Yeah. He was the only judge that scored in favor of Joshua winning. And let me also notate that this is the first major world championship pay-per-view main event in several years that Glenn Feldman was the judge in. Of course, he has over 1,700 plus fights that he judged. Now, Manuel Oliver Palamo. I just told y'all he started his career as a professional boxing judge 1997. He scored in his most recent notable world championship level fight. He scored the Usyk versus Fury fight. Y'all remember that? Yeah, that was recent, right? Okay. And of course, he had Usyk winning that fight. He scored this fight, of course, a draw, 114 to 114. All right. The next judge, Paolo Cardini. As I just told y'all before, he started his career and began his boxing judging career as a professional 2001. He scored this bout 116 to 112 for Beterbiev. Most notably, you may have heard his name being acknowledged and mentioned in the Ray Ford versus Nick Ball fight, on the undercard. It was an undercard fight when Ray Ford fought Nick Ball. That was when Deontay Wilder fought Big Bang Zhang a couple months back. Almost a year ago, but a couple months back. He scored the fight, obviously, for Nick Ball. So we had a lot of experience surrounding the field of play in this fight, as far as the judging was concerned. And the reason why I'm bringing all of this up is because I always tell y'all time and time again, when we talk about judges, when we talk about incompetence in judging, when we talk about whether there's a robbery or not in judging, what's the first thing I do? Most of you all who are supporters of this channel and are a part of the Roller Tape Film Crew family, y'all know this to be true. And I'm one of the only content creators in the boxing sphere to do this on social media. I always remind the audience, the boxing community, of the 4 different types of judging criteria that's used. Don't I? Okay. We're not going to get all into that now. But the bottom line is that the judging criteria, there's 4 of them, should have been used to score each round in this entire fight. And so with that being said, though, the only thing that I would say about this fight is that this fight was close. This fight was definitely close. There is no denying that. This fight was close. I also believe that even though this fight was close, the scoring could have landed either way for either fighter. 114 or 114 a draw sounds reasonable. Sounds very reasonable. Very reasonable. 115 to 113 sounds very reasonable. The 116, 112 that Paolo Cardini scored, personally speaking, to me, wasn't outrageous, but it was unreasonable. And the reason why I say that is because of the fact that Paolo Cardini, even though his professional career started in 2001, he has under 280 fights that he judged in the last 23 years. Under 300 professional boxing matches that he judged in the last 23 years. Y'all follow where I'm going with that? So he does have experience. Take nothing away from Cardini. But at the same time, this fight right here probably, and I'm not criticizing him, and I'm also not calling him incompetent, so please don't misinterpret what I'm saying. But this fight right here, with the magnitude of this fight and the dynamics surrounding this fight with two fighters who have 2 completely different styles, and the lack of experience that Cardini had in these type of fights, might have contributed to the reason why he scored this fight 116, 112. But needless to say, though, this fight was close. But in my estimation, Beterbiev won the last 2 rounds, the championship rounds, in my humble observation. he was more active. Now, I'm not saying that Bivol laid down for him, because he didn't. But Bivol didn't do enough. Beterbiev did enough to etch out the last 2 rounds, in my personal observation. And I think that's what sealed it, because it's not just how you start a fight now. It's how you close. It's how you finish. It's how you perform under the lights when it matters the most. And I believe those last 2 rounds were the contributing factor of why the scorecards were the way that they were, with the exception of Cardini. Because at this point, it didn't matter if, based on his scorecard, it didn't matter if Beterbiev won the last round or not. But you can tell this fight was close. And if I'm saying in my observation that both rounds were the contributing factor of Beterbiev winning, and then Palamo scores at a draw, that tells me something. That obviously he had Bivol up on his scorecards leading into the championship round. So the judges had 3 different perspectives, but it's all about the judging criteria. And I think that's what's more important out of this whole entire equation. And so with that being said, I do have a concern, 2 concerns about this fight with regards to the ending, so to speak, or towards the ending. Let me start with Beterbiev. I done told y'all Friday by the phone booth that he did test positive for a banned substance. Y'all remember that? Human growth hormone. Y'all remember that, right? Not in this fight, but I'm talking about before. Yeah, months and months ago. Y'all remember that? Oh, okay. So with that being said, and I'm not accusing this man, Beterbiev, of anything, but I'm just telling y'all based off my observation. I wanted to know why he didn't get tired. That's what I'm trying to figure out. I never saw him huffing and puffing too hard. I mean, he threw a lot of punches in this fight, personally speaking. And I didn't see him get too tired, especially in the later rounds. Did y'all? I didn't. I didn't. I mean, it seemed like round 8, because, Bivol did all right in the 7th. He was letting his hands fly in the 7th round. But I mean, like round 8, round 9, round 10, round 11, round 12, Beterbiev looked like he was just, I didn't even see him breathing with his mouth open. Did you? I didn't. I'm talking about throwing those many punches. At some point, you have to show some level of fatigue. Now, when he went back to the corner, of course. But I'm just talking about in the actual fight, throwing them punches like that. In the succession that he was throwing those punches in the sequences that he was throwing those punches in, I was expecting him to get a little bit more tired than he was. But he didn't get tired. I observed that. The other thing that I observed was that after the fight, now there's not another content creator on YouTube in the boxing community that point these things out but me. And I'm talking about the gloves specifically. You never heard it. That's why I'm glad you're here. You'll never hear it nowhere else but here. And I'm glad you're here. But they never took Beterbiev gloves off. So by the time the ring announcer announced that he won the fight and he lifted up his hands, his gloves were still on. I done taught you all 2 years ago and a year and a half ago remedially about the process that the ring inspector's supposed to facilitate with immediately enforcing the trainers in the corner to remove the gloves before they meet back up in the middle of the ring with the referee so the ring announcer can announce the winner. Y'all remember that? And time again, when we see this, I always point it out. So I have an issue with that too. You know what? I'm doing way too much talking. Don't take my word for it. Roll the tape.